DJ Paul, Nacho Man, Danielle, fight, 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 fight. DJ Paul, Nacho Man, Danielle, fight, 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 fight.
This is episode 1 of the Planners.
The possibly monthly plan.
With DJ Ballhead
Danielle.
and
Nacho Man. Oh yeah.
Nacho Man.
Alright, that was special.
He wants to be your Nacho Man.
Yeah.
Alright, cool.
How the bass sound in the voice?
We have good bass.
Because that's what's important. Yeah.
Nobody's
You know, our priorities are base, content, and then rum.
It's actually rum bass then content. I was
Rum.
Speaking of which, what was this fine beverage you're drinking here?
Yes,
I think
Daniel.
today.
That is the Talisker Dark Storm single Scotch whiskey. Bought in duty free at the Piaco airport.
So this is a traveler retail exclusive, you say?
Traveler retail. I bought it while traveling.
Well, I mean, there's no sense in sitting here looking at the bottles. Somebody wanna?
Right, cool. Let me see how to open this up here now.
Alright. This is sealed. This is good hasip.
Yeah. Of course.
What was your motivation behind this selection?
I was looking for single malt.
Right.
Right, and then I saw they had a bunch of new single malt Scotch. Apparently, I don't know if it made a comeback. Anything for spirits, or they don't care about it.
No. None of spirits.
I think that's just wasted.
None of
That's just
spirits
me.
Oh, let me get a.
None of spirits in Scotland.
Ha, that's all real good.
So yeah,
Alright.
how much you trying there?
Whichever you wanna try.
Okay, don't drop this in Nacho.
But Talisker is actually owned by the parent company of Johnny Walker as well.
Oh, serious?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
just want to say Diageo.
Yeah, but they own like a
They-
lot
they
of
own-
like alcohol company brands and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think they're like the top for like in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So this is actually one of their distilleries, and that's why you see Talisker featured as one of the blends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you all can't see this, but the color is really a nice caramel kind of. I mean, you actually see different shades of dark in this,
Like a storm.
like a
Like a
storm,
dark storm.
so
Like
to
a
speak.
dark storm.
Right? It smells like.
It's very smoky.
It smells
Yeah,
like.
you could get smoky. You get smokiness from it.
It smells like.
Oh, this woman who
it smells like
Sorry,
this.
that one.
Like this.
All right.
no she had say like when you smell in the Scotch you should open your mouth as well because that helps to get like the full scent. I don't know if it makes a difference.
I don't know. When I open my mouth and smell it, it smell
It actually opening up a bit more if you open your mouth.
It smelled like nail polish remover when I opened my mouth, but when my mouth closed, it was actually smelling kind of creamy, like how you picture.
I mean, it was
I don't
matured in charred casks, so I could smell the char.
Yeah, I don't think.
Oh,
it's stayed
you're definitely smelling the smokiness.
in. Yeah,
Can't remember. Or actually, Johnny Walker Black, like we were saying. Sorry, double black. The one.
no,
The smoky
try
one.
it? What? Ridiculously smooth.
Yeah.
Very smooth. Actually.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
very good.
You still getting smokiness, like I don't taste
So-
much of it. Like you get smell it, but like
It not tasting like how it's smelling.
No,
The taste actually kind of fruity.
a little bit fruity. Kind of
Yeah.
some sweetness of it. A little bit sweet.
a lot of sweetness. I don't know
When I switch
how
it
else to
around,
describe it though. Like it's so smooth, so easy. Just a little burn on your palate going down.
It was a nice burn going on.
Yeah,
I get like when I switch it around, I get like a honey taste, like a distinct honey taste.
Yeah. See, again, I flavor it on.
Yeah.
I don't.
Actually, I tasted the honey on my breath. Oh, it's delicious, is what it is.
yeah, but I don't think it would be this delicious.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what to expect. I thought it was gonna be. I just thought it was gonna be dark.
Now listen to this man, this old man on YouTube, and he had some serious concerns over it, like in terms of it being very smoky and that kind of thing, because he was saying usually when you age something, it mellows out, so you wouldn't get that much smokiness. You usually would get smokiness with younger whiskeys and that kind of thing. So basically, he called them out and say there's a pack of shit that they're talking about when you read the back of the box, but when you drink it, he was like, shit, it's still good Scotch.
I confess I didn't really actually watch that episode, so I meant to, but I guess it don't really matter now.
It don't really
we actually
matter
have the-
because I mean it should be your interpretation of it and what you get from it. So like whatever flavor is your personal.
I
opinion.
find again strong honey.
Honey.
I never actually tasted a Scotch that is sweet.
Right now I just feeling like I need more of it in my mouth. Like it is. it's
That's
that
what
kind
she
of Scotch
said, incidentally.
Way by natural.
Oh yeah.
Jeez.
Like a Scotch working fast.
I don't. Yeah, I get in that little honey note you're talking about, but I don't find it as prominent as what you're describing.
Push it to the sides of your tongue.
Is that also what she said?
Yeah, she did.
I can't really describe it, but like I don't really taste like a strong honey kind of flavor. It's just
It could be because I have the flu as well, possibly.
Yeah, maybe you're not smelling as much as.
Yeah.
probably, but I mean, for it to get a honey taste, I mean, and you know what honey this tastes like,
Yeah.
yeah, because I just cover things in it before
Yeah.
in honey before you put it in your mouth.
You missed a good opportunity to say like poo beer.
I was just,
Oh.
I was just gonna say
Shit, wait,
I mean, look at him, man.
Yeah.
sorry.
All he needs
Muscular
are-
like a beer.
All he needs are red jersey and Alberta Jonas.
And, okay,
Jonas is the English word for jaundice, by the way.
which is Nacho's favorite band.
My
Aye.
favorite band is John Desai.
Aye,
Is it?
Not John Desai.
Is it really Jonas?
John
It is in fact John Desai.
John Desai.
My favorite album is the first album,
Voodoo Nikoku?
Voodoo in the Cuckoo.
Very excellent album.
Yeah, excellent. And it's still my favorite album of all time.
In life?
In life, in
Yeah.
general, yeah.
Right, so people are gonna triangulate now and figure out exactly who Nacho Man really is.
Oh yeah.
All right,
I don't
so
He has the physique of a wrestler, is what we say.
Yeah, Abdullah the Butcher.
all right, so we're gonna delve into this topic.
So,
now.
hold on. Before we do that,
We're rating.
so we have to rate this, I don't know, like a 1 to 10 or 1 to 5?
1 to 10, I guess. Yeah, give us a little more leeway
Yeah.
in terms of it.
I mean, if it was.
Could we rate it like 7 to 26? On a scale of 7 to 26, we rate it.
Why? Why is the rationale for that scale?
7 being 0.
What is this in Kelvins or something like? What is the rationale for the scale?
This is
Let's invent
the metric system.
This was happening when you didn't do science.
I'd give
Yeah,
this
let me.
a solid 9. I mean, I just not saying 10 because I'm not an expert on Scotch,
Yeah,
but this is probably the best Scotch I ever tasted. So
Wait.
I'll give it a 9.
I'll give it an 8.
I think I'll give this a 8 too.
Yeah.
Definitely
I-
will drink this again.
Yeah,
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 any
definitely.
chance.
Like just now, we're gonna drink some more of this, but
Oh, for sure.
I don't know. It's probably it is one of the best scotches I ever drank before. Like I don't know,
Told the Scotch I drank before.
it has more character than say like a Johnny Green or something. Like it's better to drink. Like it tastes better than that.
I mean,
You'd say it very drinkable.
Yeah, I would most things.
I haven't. I've not been impressed with the last Tata Johnny Green. I don't,
Nah,
I don't
the
find it
Island-
the same as the first Johnny Green I had like
Island
10
Green.
years ago.
Yeah.
It just changed a whole lot.
So you was drinking 10 years ago
No,
when he was 15?
but they actually have the a Johnny Green, the classic Johnny Green in TV.
Yeah. Well, how you know his class?
No, because right after about this,
Yeah.
I was just kind of browsing after, and then I was like, shit, Johnny Green. But
No, they have
Yeah.
done it. They brought it back, but
Yeah.
it was taken off the market for a while. I think taken off twice and then brought back twice.
so this new version is not like the The old one, or
They claim, I mean, but I it's different. I find
What I remember the old one is that it was very malty.
yeah.
it was
Is the new one like that?
no. But the island. Well, all right. You see, there's the new green, which is the island green,
Mm-hmm.
and then they have the classic green now. But I saw like they brought back classic green.
The island green is actually at Travelers duty free special as well.
Yeah,
So
but it blended, so it's not
blended.
It's not the single
it's not
malt.
like a single malt like
I
think
see.
the original one was.
Yeah, and I found it harsh.
Is that a Trinidad and Tobago exclusive?
No, I saw it in DR.
Oh. Because I saw a Johnny Walker Trinidad and Tobago box. Like, they had packaging specifically for Trinidad and Tobago. With the
serious?
flag on it.
Nah, I don't know. Maybe that's how they do the international distribution or something like that. They probably try to localize it by using the flags. But
Yeah,
I
possibly.
don't know.
Kind of like what Carib do with 868.
Yeah.
Except it's not total shit.
No, but what exactly is 868 though? That's a new beer that they brew.
It's a new beer. So
Yeah.
I thought it was Polar. Because
Yeah.
it's not good, right?
Yeah.
But when I asked them, they said it's actually a brand new beer. And they're going to use different area codes in the Caribbean to promote it. So I saw it in Guyana, and it was whatever Guyana area code is for whatever.
Right.
It's
Don't
the
act
same-
like you don't know now.
the same kind of-
I mean,
Was it?
what-
Was it
It's for something. I mean, the people out there can Google it. I don't
for
know.
something
right.
or something for?
Nacho Man is pretending here to not know what the area code is for Guyana. He clearly knows it and does dial it very frequently
Anywho,
when he calls in his family.
E.T. called home.
when I asked, when I asked, I mean, when a friend of mine asked Carib if it's the same thing in every island, they said no is different in, I think Grenada, because it comes from
That brewery.
that brewery. But I don't know if the Grenada one might also be horse shit. It's not a very good beer.
No, but what is the point of introducing that beer? Is it cheaper than a Stag or Carib?
No, same price. It's just to
It's
have,
just including another brand.
Yeah.
What, just for
And putting
just
it offering
variety?
it on the market.
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean they're already doing the variety thing by bringing down those Florida beer company
Right.
brews.
I guess they experimenting to see how the patriotism card work for them.
Maybe, yeah. But they did launch it like Independence or Republic Day or some kind of thing like that.
They did not. In fact, I don't know if they actually had an official launch. I just see posters in bars and then there. Maybe it's marketed differently in different countries. Because Trinidad is a stag Carib market.
Yeah, I never tried it though. Well, based on like what you said about it, I was like, nah, no, it's it.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
When you put a little bit of water in this.
Yeah.
Oh, you just
open it up.
You didn't do that before?
No. I
Okay.
just put a little water.
I guess you wouldn't
It-
keep in track when Daniel and I did it.
No, I was trying my best not to look at you guys because
Right.
Because your face.
there's a reason that we have no video for this podcast.
Agreed.
Yep.
Agreed. Yeah.
Mostly your face.
Wow.
Natural man.
No, I mean partially my face,
think
but
mostly.
collectively face. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if we average the faces in this room here, it'll be a lot less than the rating of the Scotch.
I love how this degenerated into your face conversation,
As do most things in life.
such as your face.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
All right. So 8, 9
Yeah, 9. Yeah.
for the Scotch.
We'll drink again.
We'll definitely drink
Yes.
again, and we highly recommend it to Scotch drinkers.
Right, and if
Yeah.
Talisker open to sponsoring this program,
Yeah.
we totally down with that because we believe in the product. Go Talisker.
Right. Also,
if we say that right, even Talisker,
I think it's Talisker. You know, is what-
I mean,
Is it
it could be a Gaelic thing and it's actually Talisker.
probably, but if you're gonna ask for it, and the people who usually selling it will be like, yeah, Talisker.
Right.
Yeah.
or the parent company? Anyone of the
Also, you shouldn't, other than like a little splash of water, you should not add anything to the Scotch. And when drinking
Man, with the
fine
water
Scotch,
is- the water is
do-
amazing though. You put the little
yeah.
That's all you need.
Just
I prefer like some
completely-
ice. Some
yeah.
ice melting with water.
So yeah, we had some ice, so we could probably try it with some ice now. But all we did so far was straight and splash of water to open it up, and it was good, just like
I
that.
actually had just a little bit more water in the end to
Yeah.
see, and I got more of the honey taste you were talking about.
Yeah.
Nacho.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. right? So there you go. Talisker Dark Storm Single Malt Scotch
Good.
Whisky available.
All right, great podcast, guys.
On
See
the
you all
channel.
next month.
Yeah. made by the sea apparently.
Yeah, the Isle of Skye. I believe.
Yeah. No, like on the front of the label,
Yeah.
it says made by the sea.
Which is weird because I thought it was made by the Scottish.
Yeah, I don't know. She doesn't make anything. I don't know.
Um,
All right, we're going into the topic now.
Oh,
Right
yeah.
to.
So today's topic, trying to keep it a little bit current as of August 2019.
Yeah.
Cambridge Analytica.
The Great
Yes.
Hack.
The Great Hack
Yeah.
from the documentary from Netflix. Where do we begin?
I don't know. Everyone here saw the documentary,
Yes.
right? Okay. Initial thoughts about it.
Well, it
Yeah.
confirmed a lot of the initial information I was out there because I mean the whole issue with Facebook and the Cambridge Analytica scandal, if you want to call it, has been news for the last few years.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know if I took it as seriously as I should have originally. But seeing this documentary actually brought some of the reality of it back to where it is, which is that we have all this personal data being stored online, and we don't know what's actually being. Well, now we know what is being used for, and maybe to some point you could see how much it is being used against us.
Yeah. And I think this documentary sort of looked mostly at the political side of things, like how it was used in political campaigns. But I think for most part, the data is actually being harnessed by marketing companies for the sale of ads and that kind of thing. So that sort of continues. I mean, the fuss is being made about, these big sort of political, unexpected political outcomes like
Right.
the Brexit and then the US elections. And to me, like, initially, like, I just thought that, people wanted change. Like, people were fed up with the status quo and they voted against it.
Right.
But now this brings to light something else that maybe it wasn't by their own will now. Maybe they had some sort of nudge in a particular direction.
So everybody here uses social media to some extent. Some of us more than others. Not true.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sound like Kool-Aid.
What-
Kool-Aid man or something?
Shut up.
Let me say, how long would you say you all would have been on some form of social media? And I don't mean WhatsApp because WhatsApp is more of a direct messaging service, not social media.
No, they actually they pull analytics from WhatsApp for this type of information as well. So you can't exclude WhatsApp from social
Well,
media.
I will exclude this because WhatsApp doesn't have the history like Facebook and some of the others would have.
WhatsApp is owned by Facebook.
No, but they
No,
weren't initially owned by Facebook. But Facebook, I mean, I think my initial experience with Facebook probably would have gone back to about 2007.
Wow, that's long. I was on Facebook since 2009. I think.
I would say 2009 as well. Maybe before though, because 2009, I think it would have been like 2008, maybe 2008.
What was
Yeah.
there was another social media platform,
High Five.
probably High Five. High Five.
Yeah, I was on one. The other
was it-
was it High Five?
It was High
Was definitely one,
Five.
MySpace.
MySpace,
MySpace.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was on MySpace for a while before that. I never
And
used MySpace
then-
since.
Yeah, those were the two major
Yeah.
ones before Facebook came in and sort of dominated that space.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think initially I just went on to Facebook. I didn't know what it was. I just decided to play around. Saw that a lot of friends were on Facebook as well,
Yeah.
and you could do stuff like, leave stuff on the wall
Yeah.
or poke them.
Oh.
Which was
Yeah.
kind of weird.
I find it was a good gape originally. So like a friend of mine, Shari, she's a good now. So so she's like, hey, check out these photos I post on Facebook. So I said, Facebook,
morning, mate.
what's this? Oh, so I said, what was this Facebook thing? What's this all about? So she sent me a link. I sign up. I was like, oh my god, these girls and them looking real good. So I was like, yeah, well Facebook is the thing for me.
So basically, we're saying is in the last 16 years or so, your use of Facebook didn't change.
Correct. Except it was like last 10 years though.
No, well, I mean, the Gape now on Instagram now.
The Gape is is definitely on Instagram now.
Which
Yeah,
is
Facebook is now for the old people like ourselves.
Yeah, but what was your original, or did you have original thought behind the initial, like Facebook?
Facebook, I think it was just new. It was a way to network with people like I didn't see for like a long time.
Yeah.
Similar to you, like I came on Facebook. Everybody was on Facebook. You add someone, then you get like a suggestion to add somebody else that would have been from your school. Then it had like the groups forming, like alumni and that kind of thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty useful to kind of rekindle those kind of friendships and relationships with people that I didn't see for like maybe like 10 years or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you listen to Zuckerberg, he actually says that was the original vision for Facebook. It was to connect people.
Yeah.
And well, I mean, he probably did believe in that originally before it
initially.
spiraled into something else. But before Facebook and before MySpace and all this, you all use ICQ and MIRC.
Yeah, which, but again, I
ICQ.
consider was to be just direct messaging services or chat services, if IRC.
It was very much social media, especially the IRC. Because the IRC had groups. There was a Trinidad and Tobago group, and there was like IRC limes that would happen out of it. So people talk online, be pen pals then,
Right.
and then meet in the mall. And by the mall, I mean Gulf City.
But I don't feel that's.
I mean, that was actual, like,
think
there's a
it-
definition of social media.
I think it was more
It's
closed though.
But yeah, I don't think it
It was as public.
is not what it is now.
Mhm.
Like it's definitely because alright, the days of IRC that I remember would have been like in the 90s,
Right.
right? Where it's just a simple text chat.
Mm.
You couldn't send something like a photo in those chats. That is.
Yeah, you could have.
Yeah, but this
Said because
maybe
a friend of mine actually started using IRC to download MP3s.
we have
So
a different kind of friend.
the friend of mine was actually using IRC originally to get files,
Yeah,
No.
and then he discovered the Trinidad and Tobago chat.
right.
Some
But
kinda
what year would
Kobo or
this,
something.
what year would this have been?
This would have been 1998, 99 probably.
Okay, because I think when I first used it would have been around 97,
Mhm.
and it seemed to be more like a text-based interaction. So it wouldn't like I think eventually they added features where you could transfer somebody a photo
Mm.
Right.
on 33.6K
Right.
connection speed, which took like a few minutes to get like a photo. But then digital photos weren't really a thing back then.
That's the thing.
Unless you had a scanner.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the usage seems to be a lot more like practical as opposed to now where it's more about, spreading the word about or trying to be more popular
Right.
or gaining popularity or
Yeah.
sharing your interest with everyone. So I think that might be the difference. So it's gonna limited and more closed
Uh-huh.
where they are like groups of like more like-minded people and then who would interact with each other. But now it's like public because you can make something public to
Right.
like everyone now.
Yeah.
And that's why you have like influencers and coming up on that kind of thing now
Right.
where
The girl on them.
But
Yeah.
I mean I feel as in stark contrast to the original, like that original. If you're talking about IRC and maybe even things like ICQ. I mean, my perception of the internet back then was this, this new thing where you have access to the entire world, all these people, and IRC was probably one of the few ways that they could actually get in contact with people. This was before ICQ became a big thing where you can randomly search people. So basically, you would get on the chat rooms, just randomly talk to people,
Mhm.
your ASL.
yeah.
It's fine, and just you have like little chats, little conversations with these people, as silly as stupid as they would be, because that's what teenagers.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, But I think that was my level of interaction, and I think when ICQ came, it brought a little bit more media into it because you could have things like profiles. You were assigned as like a number
Yeah.
that you could give to people.
2548378 is my partner was telling about.
And 15952
I-
091, I think.
I can't remember my
269.
number. Like
No, like
I still have
I
problems.
remember the number so well because I remember thinking if ever I get in an accident or something, God forbid, and they ask me if I remember anything and if I functioning, I'll say 2548378.
So you wouldn't give them your home, like your phone number.
or
at home.
your national ID number.
No.
Or at least just your
You
parents.
even know
contact.
Yeah, no.
know your national ID number.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
2548
But yeah, but no,
Right.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
but I mean, I took it to a newer level where, yes, it was just text, but then you would have like a profile, so you could, open the profile for somebody, you can see them, I mean, think about it now. It seems kind of silly to have all this information available, but on ICQ you could have your name, your full name if you wanted.
Yeah.
You could have a nickname, you could have your date of birth, your gender, even your address if you wanted.
Right.
Yeah.
And then eventually they expanded to have more tabs, so you could put like things about you, where you
Interests and
work,
that kind of thing.
your interests.
Yeah.
You could write stuff about yourself, and that kind of thing. So maybe that was like the early stages, but it was only accessible if you had the ICQ number of the
Yeah,
person.
but I have a question though. Like in terms of that, like people at that time may have been very naive about things, or there was like less of a risk because probably people weren't interested in using that information, like to target you in any way, like physical harm or I don't know, marketing or whatever, anything like that. It was just so then it was, I guess, acceptable to have all that information out there. But not, I mean, to some limit now.
Yeah. I mean, I want to disagree a little bit
Yeah.
on that because ICQ was completely free, and you
Yeah.
don't get anything completely free for free.
No, but you didn't have to put your address or your phone number. Or
No, you
anything
didn't.
like
You
that.
didn't have to. You could.
You could have,
people
but
used
once
to.
But they
people
would-
used to, because I think like at that point in time you're sort of a little more naive now. Like
That,
So
but
you
that-
put Daniel. You put
no,
your,
I didn't put my
your address because
no, I didn't.
that's mad people behavior.
But some people did.
All right.
Well, the thing
Yeah.
that the other one is that I don't feel back then we were as connected online as we are now,
Yeah,
right? Therefore, not everybody would have it. Like certain people who were rich enough would have ICQ, right?
Like people live in.
oh, you didn't have ICQ.
I had ICQ.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. No, but not everybody would have. Yeah, all right. Now is as easy as using your smartphone, but back then, you had to have a computer.
Yeah.
You had to have dial-up internet access.
Right.
that wasn't really
Right.
accessible at that point in time. Oh, that wasn't really accessible at that point in time.
Well, not. I mean, a
Unless-
computer was a fairly expensive thing back
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
I mean, that was like
Man,
$15,000 just for a very
Yeah.
basic
Yes. True.
computer.
That-
True.
our first computer in 1996 was over 12 grand.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that was a top.
It had like a
Top
whopping 1.2. No, wait, no, that's big. Sorry, it had a good maybe 800 megabytes storage.
Wow, that's a
Oh.
lot. I mean, mine only had 500.
yeah. I think I had 500 in my first one.
Yeah.
So.
It was amazing, man, because that holds more than a CD.
just well, yeah, that's true. Mine, unfortunately, at 500 megs did not.
Yeah, but then you in terms of the internet though, the dial-up and thing, you always had those kind of free password
What are you talking about?
No, I mean,
passing around.
I just say you had to have a whole lot of hardware just to be able to make that up.
True.
You had to have a computer. You had to have internet access.
Yeah, to have internet access.
Right.
So it was
Yeah.
exclusive, relatively.
I guess to
Yeah.
certain,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
people who would be people who they bought into the whole idea of having a computer as like a family tool, and where you could have all this information, or being accessible via the internet, or seeing the internet being as as useful as they say. And all the things that the internet were being pitched for in the 1990s
Yeah.
as being the
Yeah.
greatest thing ever.
Yeah, it was
So-
costly. Yeah.
So not every. I mean, you know a lot of people, and so, I mean, I think people would be like, "Hey, you have an ISQ number," and they kind of add you based on that. If you didn't have an ISQ number, well, then I guess you weren't part of the in crowd.
So perhaps like something like Facebook and all of the current social media apps, like if it was that time, it probably would not have done that well.
No,
It-
definitely not, because
yeah.
you don't have to have a computer anymore. You could just have
Exactly,
your smartphone.
which
So-
is a lot cheaper.
And I think
Yeah.
by default, most people will buy a smartphone if you're gonna buy a phone.
Yeah.
So you don't really buy a phone for the sake of having a phone. You buy it for like everything else, for the whole hardware and software experience, the camera, the apps, and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause I mean, like some people now, like they don't even use voice.
They don't even use. They
Yeah,
even
it's
use
like-
like
It's just data. Like you just get a
Yeah.
data package.
Yeah.
Right.
and that's it. Like, you don't need any sort of voice.
Lots of people probably don't know that feature exists. That you can make a phone call with your phone.
Or you text.
Phone call.
Like with
phone
like,
number, they call it.
But I mean, I think if they can send a WhatsApp message or a direct message, they could send a text. But they just won't because, I mean, you have to pay for that.
Exactly. It's free.
Right.
So you have like one plan that you buy monthly or however you pay for your plan, and that's it. Basically, you're connected.
Yep.
So, and that is what runs like all these new apps here. So right now we're talking about like ICQ and IRC. I was never on IRC, by the way.
Right.
But then those things are very limited in scope and in terms of access because of the technology it was running on before.
Yeah.
But now it's like everything just busted open to the internet. Like everybody have windows and doors into the internet now.
Right.
So Windows not just being funny by saying Windows. I think the advent of smartphones and mobile internet access via cellular networks would have changed all that, because all of a sudden you don't have to have a computer anymore to look up these things. You could just go, just use your phone.
Right.
And you have access to everything. You have the full internet access there.
No.
And then with that came all these other things.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, Instagram, the only way you could upload photos is from your phone.
Yeah.
I only recently realized that, like, from the Instagram on your computer, you can't upload photos.
Yeah, I think they did have like desktop apps where you could upload photos, but that was changed later on to include only mobile.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think.
Why?
I think at some point they used to do tablets, so you could, if you had an iPad or something, or you could upload from your tablet. But the only direct way to do that right now is through a phone.
No, what are you thinking of? If you could go back to that sort of transition from like limited access to now like full access to the internet, is that there was no like education about like how you should use the internet or what you should be careful of. Is like things just sort of like mothballed into that and just open and all this access happened. So like people were just kind of figuring out for themselves how to kind of utilize and navigate this new world that they have all this access to, and interacting with a bunch of different people and that kind of thing.
Maybe in the old days?
In the old days, into the new now.
Okay.
Like, because nobody, like, what I was learning in, I don't know, Nacho man, like, what you was learning in your specialized degree of IT and business management?
Info systems and management. Info systems is about the flow of information through an organization, and it's not IT, but
But I mean, did you come across in your studies or at that point in time? Because that would have been like
there was nothing about social media as such. The flow of information was literally how you go from data to information.
Right.
There wasn't it wasn't as complex as it is now, where you're talking about content.
Right.
Content didn't matter back then. When I did that degree, it was about you have data and you need data to make decisions. How do you make data information?
Yeah.
And that's all it was. And that was like the formalized education. So and it's interesting you raised, because I wonder now if in schools there is in fact some sort of course, I don't know if they do moral education or something, that would actually like
I think it's necessary. Yeah, I think it's necessary to kind of have that sort of education now, because you're seeing so many videos circulating by youths utilizing social media. Like the kind of content I see from youths is kind of degenerative, kind of.
I know, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
like
I don't understand how so much bullying is happening in school.
You sound a little bit jealous.
Like, a little bit, yeah.
No, but I have a partner who is a youth who I play football with, right? So this man Instagram is just about bullying and which girl cursing on him and this, that, and
yeah. For the listeners out there, bullying is to have sex.
Yeah. and F this and that and I would tell the man, I was like, "Horse, listen, at some point in time, somebody's gonna come back to your Instagram page when you are older and wiser, probably in a more professional position, and then be like, hey, look at this man, look at how this man was, because apparently this is the world that we live in now, where nothing is forgotten, and people could go back now to anything you see, and bring it into the future, and now it's like a scene, even though it was not a scene back then.
And you find out a lot with politicians with this thing with Trump and grabbing pussies.
Yeah,
that was before he was president. He was just a businessman saying stupid things that rich businessmen say. You know, but now became a thing because he's the president, and also now it's not the 90s and you can't say those things.
Yeah, understand what you're saying. And then like, I think racism or LGBT issues, I think that is like some big issues as well, particularly LGBT, because I mean, if you were listening to dancehall in the 90s,
right, there had some popular songs,
exactly, playing in the airways. Like even recently, I was listening to one of those urban radio stations, and I heard this man talking about gays and homosexuality and all, and that kind of thing, and it was normal. Like that was being played on the radio. Like if it's kind of still acceptable now, but like back then it was like a whole different game where it was totally acceptable, and that's how everyone was trying to live their life. Like if you were considered like a homosexual or sympathetic to that group of people, then you were seen as one of them and ostracized and that kind of thing. So so that's I mean, you can't judge someone for doing things in that scenario, and they would have grown over time, become a little more educated, become a little more accepting of that, so they're a different person now. So you can't judge someone for their deeds in the past when they are a totally different person now. You should judge them for who they are now.
Yeah, absolutely, because a close friend of mine might have said a lot of homophobic things in the past on social media. And I know he lives in fear that somebody will dig that up one day and throw it back in his face. And I keep saying, you know, Ravi, you don't have to worry about that too, because there's
no, but then it comes back to people not thinking about the consequences of these things. Like, should they have consequences?
No matter how you could tell in the future that this thing that is normal now is not going to be okay. It's like eating meat, right? Maybe in the future, eating meat is going to be frowned upon, and we're going to be like seen as barbarians.
Well, then it comes back to why even post these things in the first place. Like, what's the purpose of sharing? Is this beneficial to anybody in that sense?
Well, it might have. It is probably people's opinion that it will be beneficial to people. The same reason we're doing this podcast right now is we think we have some points of view that people might be interested in.
It might be, but I mean, I just do this because we like to do this shit.
No, but yeah, I think that's the magic of it, that like people will just do things because they want to do shit, or they want to be heard, or they just want medium. So
some level of freedom of expression.
Exactly.
In that sense. But is there some line that you could draw with respect to what should be appropriate, like what is acceptable, or is that basically limiting that same freedom of expression?
I think that generally you don't want to be a dick to people and about things, right? So I think that's like there's a general guide, but to say there's gonna be a line, like maybe for certain things you know it's not gonna change. Like people are gonna frown upon like murdering and
fine. So
violence and that kind of thing.
So the line, alright. So automatically we have a line that's saying was it legal and was it legal.
Exactly.
Legal, right.
Well, buggering is illegal, right? In Trinidad,
no, not anymore.
Not anymore.
No, but yeah, but it was, right? So
it
was. So like it have legal lines like that. Now. Like some of the laws are very archaic and they don't make any sense.
Some are archaic. In Tobago, they try to block Elton John from entering because there's an old law that says homosexuals cannot travel to Trinidad and Tobago. That had nothing to do with where you're putting your piggy. It says homosexuals explicitly. And they were trying to use that law and refer to that law to say Elton John can't come to Trinidad.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but then the obvious loophole is if you're not a known homosexual. How would somebody know? All right.
Well, I think it's well documented that Elton John, you know.
No, that's the thing. But he's a celebrity openly homosexual? What about people who aren't celebrities
Mhm.
and who just keep their personal lives to themselves?
Right.
What?
Good point, because many politicians, when they travel, wouldn't be able to come back to Trinidad.
No, but I just say it's such a stupid. How is that a test fit? You're gonna check for something. I mean,
no, and that's the thing, right? I mean, like, if it's a test,
You
right?
should have some pictures.
So,
Imagine the stress levels.
do I
or
look
lots of our laws
up
in
your
Trinidad.
Facebook photos and see what kind of photos you
I just
post?
have myself to next Scotch.
Of course, no. I just saying.
I pop Bell on the piggy and line them up, and then give them pictures of like naked people.
No, I mean, but is this a stupid thing now? I mean, there's no reason.
I think you just play Nickelback, and who said they like it?
Wow.
I mean,
Wow. Easy there, Avril Lavigne. No, but I mean, I have no issue with anybody being homosexual. Or,
Yeah.
I don't care, right? You live your life, be happy, do what you want to do.
right.
And I all for inclusion and that kind of thing. But I just saying, in terms of like what is publicly acceptable behavior, maybe on social media as well, should there be a line in that sense in terms of what people portray themselves? Not
I think the people who draw any line right now are largely like advertisers.
probably.
Yeah, because like you would see that like if and in like podcasts and stuff like that, you hear it a lot. Like when people having discussions about certain things, say like the ad agencies feel like this is gonna rub people the wrong way, and they wouldn't want to tune in. They would drop their ads from that particular program.
Right.
And,
They've been safe.
and yeah, so all the revenue is associated with that. Like YouTube does that a lot as well, because I think they have oh yeah, they have something to do with like compensation or something like that. So how they penalize people now is that they would take away your ability to generate revenue from YouTube.
They would
Yeah,
demonetize
yeah.
the.
Demonetize, right.
Demonetize,
That's what
right?
we do, yeah.
Demonetize. So that's the biggest threat that they have.
Okay.
But that threat will largely come from advertisers, I would think, who advertise on YouTube.
The thing about YouTube is I think they have their own policies. So if your video does not comply with some of the policies, then they reserve the right to demonetize your video. If it could be deemed inappropriate or offensive content,
Right.
you're not gonna make money off of that. I think to some extent, I don't know, I'm not fully informed on this, but they may not necessarily pull the video down,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't make money from it.
You can't make money from
if
it.
the video is in full violation of their policies,
Yeah.
then they'll pull the video down. Like
Okay.
this
No.
YouTuber guy, who's he? The one who went to the
The
forest.
suicide guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the one who went to the forest with these.
He went to
dead
the
people.
suicide forest in
In Japan?
Japan.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
He made a video with a dead body, and
Oh shit.
everybody came down on him saying that's not appropriate. And I mean,
But I mean, most people who go to that forest go to kind of see if they see like a dead body here, because like that's where a lot of people
Well,
go to
no,
commit
most people
suicide.
go to that forest go to kill themselves.
right?
Yeah, but like it's a big tourism scene too, because people want to see what is it about this forest that pushes people to kill themselves.
All right, but that's one thing, right?
Yeah.
The next thing is why you want to make a video which obviously going to be used for views,
Right.
right? And therefore, pay-per clicks.
This is the line you're
Well,
talking about. This is the line that you're talking about.
Well, it is one
yeah,
of the lines
yeah,
I'm talking
yeah,
about. Just saying. So, all right, maybe we should say, all right, things are illegal.
It
Automatically, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But Ballhead,
Mhm.
to go back to
Daniel.
Daniel's point,
Yes.
the reason that guy posted that is because, like Daniel said, is a tourist attraction now. However, going to Japan is not a cheap thing.
Right.
So he is actually selling, he thought he was selling an experience that people might not be able to do for themselves, and that is why he posted it.
I don't think so. I think based on the character, he does things to draw attention to himself, to get views,
to sell ads,
yeah,
to make money, to make money.
to get views for his videos.
Okay.
Because he's known for that. He was a fairly big YouTuber before.
Okay.
All right, and he just did these things to promote his channel,
I see.
basically. Yeah.
No, but I think people know they have very thin skins and they're easily offended by
Right.
certain things, right? Because sometimes, like, all right, any content that is created, you would always have someone who dislikes it.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, like, there's so much content out there. If that content does not appeal to you,
Right.
move on. So, there may be like an audience for this guy. So, if that offended you, right, why does you like change the channel?
Well, I think some of it was that it was in violation of YouTube's terms.
Okay.
Because video was eventually pulled.
Right.
And,
Right.
I'm not sure if he was banned or he was close to being banned.
Mm-hmm.
And he had how many of a million subscribers or
Yeah.
followers. Or,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, all right. So I
There's
guess
about 5 less than Vanita. So
Whoa.
on Instagram, check out.
Wait,
she does
you,
bikinis.
you getting paid or something for this? Or?
No, she's an influencer. This is what we do.
Okay. We
You are also an influencer. We're supporting a fellow influencer or something. Or, like,
I mean, that's what they do.
So the virality of the line in 2019
Vanita's 94.
might be due to that kind of oversensitivity to every single thing.
yeah.
No, the oversensitivity to everything, ballhead,
Mm.
is what the advertisers playing on now.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
back in the late 90s, I was by a friend watching TV. And his dad came in. So he was watching local TV. His dad came in and he said, you all realize in these ads, there are no Indians. And that I never realized that before. And then in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was true. The ads in Trinidad and Tobago had no Indians represented. So Indians was not representative of the population that was being advertised to. If that should happen now, there'll be a huge backlash about it. Now it's completely different.
Yeah.
Every time they portray a couple in an ad is a mixed race ad. An mixed race couple, India.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, that might be consistent with global trends, though. Where, like in the US, the ads primarily would be Caucasian populations, but now they try to be inclusive, so they have Asian, Afro-Americans, that kind of thing.
yeah.
Is it like targeting though? Like if you, I don't know what would have been the rationale for doing something like that back then, but maybe there was some reason why you were targeting like Afro Trinidadians as opposed to Indo Trinidadians. For some reason, I don't know. Maybe
Yeah, no, I don't know. I can't explain it.
maybe they were Indo Trinidadians were more rural and growing their own stuff and that kind of thing, and were less likely to purchase like manufactured processed items.
We have any
It
data?
Yeah.
possibly. It could be because that was not the demographic that they
Like, I don't
advertising
know.
for.
But is there any data on the distribution of the population then and now in terms of how, you know,
I don't know. I think
majority, or is there a majority?
probably at one point in time it would have been more.
It was more Afro-Trinidadian
Yeah.
at a point.
Yeah.
It was a greater part of the population.
And now it's more balanced.
It balanced. I think it's like 46.
Yeah. Wait, no, I think
Yeah,
you have a
it's-
bigger mixed population, so that would account for
No,
less
it's
pure.
Actually, let me cheat and check my phone.
Yeah.
and
You
check
could
out,
check,
yeah.
you could check your phone.
Yeah.
So what you're
but-
saying is localization.
Yeah, basically. But I think this could segue straight into the targeting done by the Cambridge
Yeah,
Analytica
yeah,
LCL
sure.
company back into the 2010 campaign,
Right.
which
So
was covered in the documentary,
So,
right?
yeah, so in the documentary, they actually outright list Trinidad and Tobago as one of their early clients. I guess this was before Cambridge Analytica. This was
Yeah, it was
actually
SCL, I think.
SCL.
It was the company that did the
Well,
military marketing.
basically the parent
Psycho.
company of Cambridge
Right.
Analytica. What was something?
So what's
communication?
interesting about
Psycho
SCL?
something was their special.
Well, it's not. There's S. This is
Oh, SCL. Oh, no, we're talking about the acronym.
Yeah.
It don't matter. I think people would know. We'll try to
Yeah.
update it.
Yeah.
Now, this morning, actually, I was looking at a video about SCL. And SCL, the owner, was not covered in that documentary,
Right.
by the way. And that's what that video on YouTube I was watching was about. That this guy was not covered. And he was, in fact, the owner of the company. Not the faces that we know.
Right.
He was actually a big part of what made Saatchi and Saatchi advertising a big deal. So Cambridge Analytica actually started before SCL. They started way back in actual marketing companies in Saatchi and Saatchi.
Serious?
Sorry, was that? What's
Yeah.
actually?
That's a local marketing
No.
company. That's an international.
Lonsdale Saatchi and Saatchi is the Trinidad and Tobago arm of
Okay.
Saatchi and Saatchi.
Okay. I didn't know that. I thought
Yeah.
Lonsdale Saatchi and Saatchi was just a Trinidad company.
No.
yeah.
It's,
Okay.
it's a, yeah.
I didn't know
Trinidad
that.
Limited.
So this was some of my initial questions with respect to advertising and marketing. So if you say is that what, like some kind of retail store? Sachi?
No, they're just like a ad company.
Right.
So they would do ads for different companies.
Right.
You would come to them. They would do like B-Mobile would come to them or
Right.
different companies to just advertise their products and develop campaigns for them.
So a lot of advertising typically would tend to be similar in the regards of you have a target audience, you have
Yeah.
trying to figure out who you're going to market your product to.
Yep.
And
I just want to stick up in for 1 minute, Ballhead. So what Daniel was saying is right. The mixed population is very big right now.
Yeah.
So the population is 37.6% Indian, 36.3 African, 24.4 mixed, of which 7.66 is Douglas.
Yeah.
So this actually looks a lot different to when I was in school in the 90s and what the population was.
No, but you actually see this in day-to-day life because like the thing about like Douglas children, right, or like mixed children in general, right? So some of them you have no idea what race they belong to. They could look more African or they could look more Indian,
Right, yeah.
but they mix now.
Yeah.
Right.
So like just stop being racist, right? Because you don't know who you're being racist to. You have no idea like who you're trying to be racist to.
I mean, is that a good approach though? I mean, if you have no racism, you could have no racism, basically.
Well, true.
You'll find,
true.
you'll just find other things to discriminate and hate each other about.
True.
It's true. You will find
race.
something other than race to discriminate
Well, I mean,
against. I mean,
I don't know. I guess some of that just
Northern Ireland and Ireland, they all look the same, but they hate each other because of religion.
Because of religion, yeah.
yeah.
You will
But-
find some way.
So
Some
yeah,
way
like
to
African
discriminate.
tribes and stuff that have like genocide and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
It's
guess
just-
that's
it's
just
just human nature.
a human thing, yeah.
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 Exactly. But yeah, so what we were saying about about SCL, the SCL involvement in
They do so.
they try to do, they do so.
They do so campaign.
This was actually prior to social media being a big thing.
Yeah,
being largely
yeah.
accessible as it is right now.
So we were discussing like what sort of smartphones we had at that point in time, 2010, and it wasn't anything too sophisticated.
No, it was
It wasn't 2010, no. It was the
Before.
2000 campaign.
2000.
Yeah.
No,
so
it wasn't.
So when I was looking at that same thing this morning,
Do
and they
so.
talking about the work,
Yeah.
they were saying it was like a long time back.
No, but the specific campaign of Do So, that was around 2010.
Yeah,
That was when UNC won with the People's Partnership, not so? And their term
It
was
was, yeah.
2010 to 2015.
So
So the campaign would
the whole do thing started with this
Percy
citizen-
Villafana.
Percy Villafana.
Right.
And this was actually in March 2010, where then Prime Minister Patrick Manning.
Right.
late-
Oh, damn, my timeline is completely off here.
yeah, like, as usual.
Yeah.
I think he was doing a walk around
Right.
and said Mr. Villafana was against the Prime Minister. He didn't want him to enter his premises, so he basically did so.
Yeah.
Making an X with his forearms.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I think he tried to stop him from entering, but the Prime Minister still entered,
Mhm.
I guess, for the sake of publicity or whatever, and then
Mhm.
he left out. And I think as part of their marketing campaign, or their political campaign, I should say,
Yeah.
leading up to September is when the UNC would have used that same thing as part of their thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alright.
And the gap between the incident that Mr. Villafana did and the campaign, there was a big gap because within that gap is where SCL built that into a thing.
So when they saw that as like a way to go, like that was part that came first, and then they saw it as a strategy,
As a strategy,
and then they build around that.
yeah.
That's what happened. I thought I didn't know. Like I think I knew about this incident before. It didn't come to me when I was watching the documentary.
Uh-huh.
But like I just thought that they crafted it all on their own now. Like I didn't know that this mechanism or this incident existed before for them to build on.
No, it did. It was a public thing.
existed
It was
before.
it was a big thing.
It's actually only after that campaign started then we knew about Percy Villafana.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Because that wasn't covered in
Well-
like news or
Well,
anything.
actually, it was a news.
It was
I
on
remember
news,
that.
but it
was
wasn't
the
a
news.
big deal, you know. It was a thing that happened.
No, I think it was something about a big deal because there's basically a citizen saying no to the Prime Minister coming into his compound. But remember that was also an election year.
Yeah.
So that was March, and then 2016 would have been elections. Sorry, September. September would have been elections.
September, yeah.
So I guess anybody looking for any kind of material at that point in time would have
Right, and there was
seen-
a good 2 or 3 month gap between the incident and the Do So campaign.
Well, so if you look at that, let's say around June, which is still 3 months before.
Right, that's silly season proper.
Yeah. So that's when election madness in full swing.
Yeah.
Basically. So if they did hire any kind of marketing firm at all,
They would have utilized that.
well, like, I mean, they could have,
Yeah.
but maybe the people with the psychological experience at SCL would have said, we could use this for something.
no,
We
yeah. I
could-
mean,
we could twist this. And
yeah.
if they could just basically find some way to target some kind of audience,
Yeah.
then they have the campaign.
So they probably went in, they already read the psychology of the young voters in Trinidad and Tobago.
They already
know the demographic.
researched the country as
Yeah,
well.
they
into
know the
that what was-
demographic. So
Correct.
they said, all right, what we need to look for now is a face for what we have in mind.
Yeah.
And they found the face there with the danger symbol that Mr. Villafana is doing.
Yeah, but so that's what I was saying. So the level of SCL, which is actually strategic communications laboratories, if their specialty is actually just psyops or psychological operations, or just understand how people think, what is the difference between that and run-of-the-mill advertising and marketing? Because what they how different is what they're doing from what a TV ad would do? They're still targeting a specific demographic or specific market, specific audience, and then they tailor some campaign that would appeal to said audience.
Yeah, that's a good question. Because I don't really see much kind of wrong with the strategy in itself, right? Because I think it's just a brilliant strategy. You understand?
It was
Right.
brilliant.
Yeah. You understand your variables,
Right.
what's happening,
Yeah.
who you want to target, what you want them to do, and then they executed it brilliantly.
Correct. And the strategy worked. I mean, if you look at the elections results, that was a landslide.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So-
assuming they had a big part, assuming that actually had a big part to play.
Maybe it did.
In it.
Because,
Yeah.
I mean,
It did.
to target like the marginal, like based on that documentary, they were very strategic about who they want to target.
Right.
And it wasn't the entire population.
Correct.
It's just what was the unpersuaded or something like that?
The persuadables.
The persuadables, right? So the persuadables. So they just want to figure out in marginal constituencies who are these persuadables to swing them into a different direction. And that is what they did. So
Right.
the landslide victory would be guaranteed once they get margins because we know the demographics and we know the political parties. There's a African party, there's an Indian party, and generally the elections tend to be pretty close. And what determines the elections is usually marginals.
Yeah.
Yeah, some seats that UNC will always get, some seats that PNM will always get. So, I mean, to come back though, but I think the issue with these things, right, the utilization of marketing, I think what the issue is that it affects the electoral process. And it's the same with Brexit and the US elections or anywhere else.
Well, all right.
The data was used.
But before you get
Yeah.
to that stage where you have
Yeah.
like data though.
Yeah.
Any political campaign, they always have somebody hired as a campaign manager.
Yeah,
So that's what I'm saying. So all right, before we get to the whole 2016 situation, was the hiring of SCL as part of their campaign, was it wrong?
I don't think it was wrong, but when you shed light on what they actually did, it looks kind of bad. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth in that, hey, look at what they did or how they did this now.
But are you just saying that because you know what you don't know about SCL and Cambridge Analytica?
Well, exactly, because nobody would have seen the Do So campaign before as like a bad or a negative thing
Right.
in this light now.
But what if they had employed a different campaign? So all right, so let's say SCL is very experienced in psychology and market psychology and
Right.
market trends and those kind of things, right?
Yeah.
What if they had hired another marketing company who didn't have all this prior experience and prior data to say, we have an idea of what kind of campaign we could use. Would it have been okay then just to use a different company with less experience? Because that's what it come into, like in 2010, that's what it'll come down to. Less experience.
In my opinion, using SCL was not wrong. You just you look at the best proposal that comes here,
right,
and you go with it. It wasn't wrong. I mean, even Cambridge Analytica and the data that they use now, in my opinion, is not wrong. Is using great market research. However, it morally,
I'll disagree with you there.
That one has some other implications because the information was not willingly given for that purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
So in the case of like the SCL for the Do So campaign, they used existing information that nobody willingly gave. Nobody willingly gave.
Right.
So there's a difference to that because like you being a Facebook user, right? You didn't sign up. Part of your agreement is not that the data that you submit or any sort of content that you put up or enter through surveys can be used in electoral campaigns. Nobody reads it.
But that's the thing. So how much are these terms of service and these
that's exactly what it is. You should read what you sign up for. Because if it was completely legal, Cambridge Analytica will not exist.
But do you think that like the big like software companies and like app companies and that kind of thing utilize that knowledge that people don't read the license agreement to basically put like what they want into it, and even if someone does read it and go through and post like a video or raise questions, like the rest of the public probably don't really care that much.
Yes. That's why fine print is so fine.
Yeah.
And the thing is, in terms of those licensing agreements, the only place I see, the only group of users I see who actually read those agreements are video gamers. Every time there's a PlayStation update, there's always a big uproar about read the fine print, and they will highlight where you should focus on and what you're signing up for.
Right.
And I don't know why, but gamers read it.
I mean, there's a unlikely group, I suppose.
Yeah.
But then I get it might depend on some of the gamers. Some of them may have more to gain from it because if you have things like competitive gaming, but even things like DRM, digital rights management, and those kind of things. That was basically a very debatable topic in the last few years, where could I lend somebody a game legally,
right?
Which wasn't really a thing back in the day. But anyway, that's we'll talk about on the gaming. But in terms of service,
nobody reads that.
Nobody reads it, but
then like the legal or regulatory agencies in a country who are responsible for that, most likely it will be the US. They would largely be responsible for reviewing those things,
right? But
to make sure.
Sure, but their jurisdiction will be the US.
Yeah.
So we're talking about our situation in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
Who's the agency that subs regulate that?
No, but they won't be regulated in the US though. Like that's what I think. Like they should be regulated in the country of origin, where first of all
but that is where licensing and broadcast agreements come in.
Yeah.
Everybody is responsible for their own jurisdiction.
Right.
That's why we can't view some YouTube videos.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I guess.
So who is there, speaking specifically with Trinidad and Tobago, who is there to regulate that and educate the public?
Well, nobody.
I don't know.
That's an actual question I'm asking.
Yeah.
What was the agency available?
If we have any listener or listeners, plural.
Right. Hopefully we have one-on-one listener. That'd be great.
Somebody can just chime in here, because this is not a topic that I have that much.
Who would be like what, IPO or Ministry of Legal Affairs or something like that?
It could be Telecommunications Authority,
But I don't know. We have to figure it out.
All right, and hopefully we have some listeners here who could tell us who the public could go to read the fine print for them, to interpret it.
So, back to the discussion do so campaign versus like Brexit or the US elections.
So
The
this is where
difference,
where things would have changed, because this is where they would have definitely harvested data from users. But it is still, this is the disturbing part. So I mean, some of us here, like Nacho Man, like to do quizzes on Facebook.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I always wondered about this, and I was wondering about being able to design a quiz, or even just being able to design like questions for maybe an interview or something, and based on responses, able to determine a personality type,
Yeah.
right? Which is what they claim to have done. Basically, they just had a quiz going, and then it was a simple like five questions on that,
Yeah, sometimes more.
and based on that they could build a profile. So that was part one, right?
Yeah.
What I do understand, this is part I was, the big thing by Facebook was that they allowed access to that data, but not only that, they allowed people taking quizzes, they allowed access to friends' data. Like, I don't know how you can do this, considering, I don't know if the privacy settings were more lax back then.
Yeah.
Like, now you could basically try to control a bit more of who sees your content and photos and those kind of things. But 2016, not that long ago.
Right.
No.
Here's what they did, right? So when they scrape the profiles of users, they could only scrape the public profiles. So it's whatever you willingly know you posted as public.
Yeah, but I think there's still like a decent percentage of the population who still put like a lot of content out there now. So like when you're scraping, like, all right, so like if you're doing sampling on a survey or something like that, you're probably gonna stratify it or cluster it because you want to have certain people. So if you want to include certain races or certain age groups or whatever, because we're talking about the electorate here, right? So it will comprise of a bunch of different people. I guess for the case of the US, you want to cover like Hispanic and blacks and white and that kind of thing, just to ensure that you include everybody in the demographic and different age groups and stuff like that. So when you're sampling, you basically just want to get some of those people, because that's what they said, right? They didn't go and like pull data from everybody. They got like a sample, and they had like a number that they said that they sampled, and with that they were able to generalize more or less the entire of the electorate.
Yeah, but some of it was that they were able to access the friends data of people taking the quiz. So I mean, as somebody accessing a public profile, like a random user accessing a public profile, not going to be able to get that much data then, which means it had to be from the inside. It had to be some kind of negotiation on the part of Facebook.
Yeah, but now the point is, like, if there are enough people with open profiles, then you might be able to extract how much data you need to then draw your conclusions and develop the personalities now. Because, like, I mean, there as much as people know what's going on right now, it still have people with like a bunch of open profiles.
It's true. Yeah. It's true. But I mean, my question is how complex. I mean, if this is their specialty, fine. But how complex is it to build a profile from data voluntarily posted?
I don't know. It depends on what people post.
Do they have some kind of algorithm or something that will?
They definitely have some.
Algorithm
to do it.
To read through posts, look for keywords, and be like, okay, this
maybe they're employing some kind of machine learning or AI or some kind of thing to decide.
Unless they employ the entire population of China, I don't know how they're going to do that without algorithms.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I think they employ some sort of.
China's a big population.
AI or machine learning to decipher all those things and to learn and be able how to scrape profiles and get all the relevant information, because they apparently had like 5,000 data points
per person in the US.
In the US, so like you don't get that from a 5-question survey.
So I mean, if they figure that out, that's fucking brilliant, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's evil.
It is.
Well, it was used for evil, but it is brilliant. I mean,
I think what the 5-question survey probably meant to sort of do something else. It probably had another purpose to sort of categorize things or add the missing dots or something like that for the information that they have.
Right.
So they probably needed, that was a piece of the puzzle or something like that, but they already had a lot of data from the scripts before.
Yeah. So, all right.
Ballhead. So you said that they use it for evil, though. That's a powerful statement.
Yeah.
Was it evil, or was it just marketing as usual?
Yeah, look at the people in the parties who they work for.
All right,
Who Kaiser Associate.
So this is my opinion, right? So I think if a company could carefully design and market some campaign and it works, that's fine, right? But the issue here was that they wrongfully used data or they acquired data through questionable means in order to design this campaign. So they basically cheated, right? No other marketing campaign or company would have in terms of getting data from Facebook.
All right.
Yeah,
How
is cheating.
many other companies would have gotten that level of data from Facebook? So
but I don't think they cheated in how they use data.
I mean,
did a brilliant job.
No, but they cheated because even Zuckerberg was saying that he didn't know, or he probably didn't know, but he said he didn't know that they were using it for that now. So the thing is like, all right, cool. I real good at things that you're thinking outside the box and that kind of thing. But like, they're thinking outside the box, but then kind of nefariously thinking outside the box. Well, hey, we kind of gonna do this, and nobody else will have this, and we'll get away and we'll do this.
Well, so evil.
So kind of, but
if you're not using the word evil,
listen.
Because
Listen.
Was it wrong? Was it wrong? Like look at I mean, it's not black and white, but like utilizing Facebook data, in your opinion.
Well, not utilizing Facebook.
It was very shady.
The means of acquiring.
It was very shady. In terms of what's right and wrong, I don't know. Because let me tell you why, right?
Yeah.
People have been using this type of data since before the internet was created.
Which was my
had
point.
Shows and they know what the target. When MacGyver was on, they advertised sunshine snacks.
Right.
Kids watching it.
Yeah.
Right. I watch wrestling. When wrestling on TV, they advertise a lot of religious shows, churches, because they know as young people watching it, who could be swayed there, and that's where they're going to get their viewership from. And then they advertise products for old people as well.
Yeah.
Because they know a demographic. Is that wrong? Is that evil?
No, but this was the point I was raising with respect to the whole thing. So back in 2010 with the whole SCL UNC thing, I don't think that was an issue. Because they basically use careful marketing to figure out the target audience and then plan a campaign based on it. Why I think the issue would be with wrongfully acquiring that data from Facebook and then using it. Because who else would have access to that volume of data or be able to scrape data from a single user and all their friends, right? So I mean, they would have had a big leg up on any kind of competition with respect to that.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of people have the issue where that they take data. But the thing is, from a user perspective, right?
Yeah.
You basically had all this information. Which is why I think I started to talk originally about what the original intention as a user would have been, right? Basically, you put in all this information out there thinking that it is completely harmless in that sense, right? It's for your people to see, primarily for your contacts to be able to see, and you share that information with them.
Yeah.
As a user, you don't necessarily suspect that data will be used for all these other purposes. Right, like who would say, hey, I wonder who's taking this data, right? But when it's actually from the inside, where they actually take your data and basically sell it off to some company, assuming selling, I think that's where the real issue lies with that sense. I have no issue with marketing. I think if a marketing campaign works, I find that really cool. I impressed with that. I like to see how people think and what they would react to. So if somebody could figure that out just based on like a 5-question survey, fine. But it wasn't a 5-question. It wasn't like an open survey. It was disguised as something else.
Right.
And then somehow, because people were taking that survey, it gave those users, it gave the company access to other users' data.
How did they find out about this Cambridge Analytica thing? Like somebody did like a
whistleblowers.
Whistleblowers, did it?
Yeah. It was the guy with the hair.
The red hair guy?
Yeah.
All right, so
Christopher Wiley, I think.
Christopher Wiley. So that raises another sort of discussion, right? Like coming off the term evil and looking at different political parties in certain lights. So, for instance, like in Brexit, right? The Leave campaign was clearly the bad guys. right? In the U.S. elections, Donald Trump was clearly the bad guy. So people wanted Hillary.
That's subjective. Less
It
than
is
50%
subjective, but
of
like
the electorate.
No, but I mean like,
Whatever
alright,
Richard.
but globally, people looking in, like,
Right, okay.
and it was like expected that the good guys will win. It was expected that Hillary was gonna win, and it was expected that the UK will decide to stay in the EU. Right? Nobody thought that these outcomes will happen. Right? So my question is, suppose Cambridge Analytica assisted the so-called good parties. Would there have been whistleblowers? Would anybody have found out, or everybody would have been okay with that?
Shit, that's a good question.
That might sit as a what if question. I don't know if anybody can answer that.
And would it have been all right? Like, could we? All right. So if the world, let me just say, I mean, we don't know for sure, right? If the world would have been a better place by somebody utilizing this to get the good people, so-called good people, into the positions of control, right? Would that have been like acceptable?
Daniel, again, there's a personal point of view, because more than 50% based on the electorate, based on the outcome of the elections, more than 50% of America believes that the information was used for the good guy to win.
Well, so maybe this response to that would be maybe the people on the other side would have sided with the whistleblowers to say some manipulation would have taken place, or some interference would have taken place with elections.
Because they would have. All right, people on both sides, so somebody would have brought it up.
Somebody on the other side probably would have. I don't know what the majority.
No, but then you end up with like a sympathizer who is working in Cambridge Analytica to a party. Like, what will drive Wiley to come forth?
Maybe
he feel dirty about this stuff that he was
maybe
doing?
had some moral issues with respect to the whole.
Okay.
It could be.
But then, so it's just based on your morals. So if your morals or your moral compass had say, all right, cool, I did the wrong thing, but at least the good guy won. So I did a bad thing for a good benefit or for a good outcome.
Wiley very well could have been a Democrat supporter. And he was doing his job for the enemy. What he perceived as the enemy, right?
The same thing was the same thing with Kaiser, because Kaiser was a Democrat. She was a Democrat. She worked for Obama, correct? Right. She would have worked for Hillary. It's just Hillary didn't hire her, and then she needed the money, and then she ended up working for the Republicans.
Right.
So in that case, she would not have been blowing any whistle on. If she worked for Hillary, she's not gonna come out and say,
she would still be working there right now.
Exactly. So
there's a good question. Has to be asking who.
No,
so that's the thing. Like, something is right or wrong.
If the outcome was different, there would still be whistleblowers.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but provided it depends on their outlook. Like, if they were more liberal or if they were more conservative. In that way, it depends on their.
Man, I don't know. That boils down to personalities right there. And maybe Cambridge could probably tell us more about that.
Yeah, because I mean, clearly
they would.
No, but clearly there wasn't any policing of this. Nobody was checking up to see who was doing what or who was using the information. Facebook say that they didn't know, but like when you look in the documentary of Kaiser's reaction to Zuckerberg, and she was saying blame it on me, Mark, and that kind of thing.
Right.
She seemed to kind of have a difference in opinion in terms of like who to be blamed now.
Right.
So was it that she had a certain amount of remorse for what she would have been involved?
It seemed that way. It seemed that taking on this job and working for the Leave campaign and Trump's campaign, she seemed to have some kind of remorse.
In the documentary, she had nothing but good things to say about the Obama campaign.
Yeah, and then that she did like work for the UN or something like that, and then I think someone even asked her why she didn't work for like Hillary or something like that, and she said she simply wasn't asked.
Well.
And she needed to pay some bills.
So I mean, I don't know if the issue would be that, or is the issue of just interference in something as public as elections for a country, which will basically determine the leadership and maybe ultimately the direction of that country as well.
That's something big, because I think elections generally should be fair. So if it's deemed to not be fair, then your whole system,
Just pull it back so we're very comfortable. So
so the whole system kind of like off now. So that I think that's the major reason why there's such a focus on the elections, because
the question of morality, right?
Yeah.
I want to give Zuckerberg the benefit of the doubt. I want to believe Zuckerberg still stands for what he created Facebook for. But Zuckerberg, in my opinion, is just the face of Facebook now. He's just the majority shareholder.
Right.
He doesn't run Facebook. He probably...
Do we know that though?
No, we don't know that. As I say, I give it the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. Well, alright, the thing is, he's automatically associated with being the face of Facebook, or the the one in charge. Like, nobody will call, just like how you have Google, but
Right. But just like Cambridge Analytica, and that clip I watched on YouTube this morning, the owner of Cambridge Analytica was not in that documentary. He wasn't the face of Cambridge.
Steve Bannon, well, I mean, he wasn't the owner, but he was a major investor or something in it, right? And he was associated with the Trump. He's Trump's campaign manager, right?
Correct. Yeah. So this guy, Nix, is his name, the British guy?
Yeah, Nix.
Alexander Nix.
Right.
Yeah.
He was the face of that thing, but he was not a majority shareholder. He was not the owner of the company.
He was what, CEO or something?
Yeah,
I think he
CEO,
was
CEO.
Right?
Yeah. And he's the face, and he being the brunt of it right now, while the owner, who probably get lion's share the profit to come out of this campaign, is relatively unknown. In that thing I was watching this morning, they were saying on the Facebook entry for Cambridge Analytica, they only mentioned his name once.
So what you're thinking is like the owner don't really care what happening to his company as long as he getting money. So he didn't really have that much of a say. And similarly, like Zuckerberg could also be like the owner of the company, but not really knowing what's going on with the nitty-gritty and decisions being made to generate revenue.
Yeah. Zuckerberg,
but he's still a major stakeholder though. Like, he sits on the board, I would imagine. Like,
so he might sit on the board, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at Steve Jobs, Steve Jobs also sat on the board, and his own board sacked him. The creator and owner of the company. They sacked him from his own company.
Yeah,
because Steve Jobs is when I think Zuckerberg, I think Steve Jobs. They are technical guys. They had one vision. They had a good idea, and they went through with it.
Was Steve Jobs technical though?
Yeah. Steve Jobs was very technical. Steve Jobs and Hellbound Chair Bald Head.
Was usually the guy who's accredited with all the technical know-how and building stuff.
Jobs lived in his parents' basement.
Yeah.
Designing stuff, coding, creating, and making hardware.
Oh, serious?
Jobs was a technical man.
Okay.
Those two technical men started the company.
I don't know if Jobs was that technical in terms of he wasn't for sure. He wasn't the level of right. Yeah.
But
he was a man about ideas. He was a visionary. Basically, he would have the ideas, and he would keep pushing people to make something a reality. Right? When I was just based on the documentary, I would have watched, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I can see that he wasn't necessarily. So he might have been the one to lead the team to say, all right, I have this idea. Let's figure out how we happen and push people to get to that stage. And
but they have to figure it out. Like, the engineers have to figure out like how to actually get it done.
Keep refining, but basically keep pushing to get something to happen.
Yeah. Till
you have the final product.
Yeah. Right. But he couldn't tell them how to do it. Like, he just know what needs to be done.
Yeah. But he might be able to tell them these specifics, because I think one of his things was always focus on the end user experience and engineer backwards from that.
Right.
Spoken like a true Apple fan.
Well, I mean, there's only an Apple Watch, iPhone, and a MacBook Pro.
Right, full ecosystem.
I mean, we're recording on a MacBook Pro here, so.
No,
but I mean, in terms of the products.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
Apple is the biggest freaking company in the world right now.
So Jobs was a visionary, but
Probably.
Jobs was also a very technical man, right?
I didn't know about the technical side,
the
honestly.
follow-up to the Apple II
Yeah.
was a complete failure. And it was a failure because Jobs pushed
Well,
it. Jobs
yeah.
was like, we have the specs. This is what a personal computer is.
Right.
And it failed miserably,
Yeah.
right? And this is because, again, the OS. They didn't have a OS.
Mhm.
And, that's where the fallout between Wozniak and him happened, right?
Mhm.
Mark Zuckerberg, he didn't study marketing or anything. Zuckerberg was a technical
No,
man.
he is a technical guy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not disputing now.
Because he was
Yeah.
a software guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not disputing now, yeah.
Yeah.
So
He's
Zuckerberg, more than likely, in my opinion,
Mhm.
is not making business decisions for Facebook.
I think he grew into the role of a CEO. So I think he recognized as most of these owners of companies in Silicon Valley who started off making something, they had to kind of grow into the role of a CEO and learn other things to run the company, because like at the end of the day, it's your company and you want to run it, and then you realize, well, all right, cool, I'm not an engineer anymore. Like, yeah, those things are cool to me. Yeah, I could probably add in my input from time to time, but the rule now, and I think DJ Ballhead could understand this now in terms of like his company and operations and that kind of thing, in that you sort of realize that you move beyond the technical, and then a different sort of skill set or different role is required.
You probably move up to more like a managerial
Exactly,
level, right?
Mhm.
So I mean,
Now you have a good perspective in terms of like, because
I
you're
do.
doing this right now.
I do, but I mean, alright. So I have two questions I could probably ask you. Which would be, was Zuckerberg directly involved in the whole thing?
We don't know. Nobody knows.
Nobody
Yeah.
can answer that.
I don't think he was.
But then the next thing
I
is,
don't think he was.
well, I mean, this is less of a question, more of a statement in that
Yeah.
if he's the manager, if he's the CEO, he's the face of Facebook, then the responsibility should probably be his
Yeah.
in terms of this is your company at the end of the day. This is your company,
Mhm.
right? Yeah, you have how much of a million shareholders or whatever. But if this is your company, as leader of this company, you should be responsible for whatever shit happens over it. I'm not saying he was responsible. I mean, yeah, they get slapped with a fine, right? They get a $5 billion fine. I think was it from the FTC? As a result of it. Small money for Facebook, right? Facebook is worth over $600 billion US dollars.
Mhm.
But consequence, I mean, will something actually come of this then? It's like I used to have this theory of thieves and criminals before, right? Where you could do, if somebody breaks in the house, you could have a few measures, right? You could safeguard their property, basically.
By Texas law, you're allowed to shoot them.
No, yeah, right. But alright. So you put deterrence in place. For a thief or a criminal, specifically a thief, you could do two things, right? You could accept the deterrent for what it is and be like, I can't go over there. Or you can become a smarter thief and say, how can I work around this deterrence? So, for example, somebody has cameras, how can I escape being, I shouldn't say this because this could be useful. But it's just the mentality. So then it could come back to the same thing. Is it just that we avoid this kind of situation completely, or we work around the situation? Like that's what it might come to with Facebook.
It comes to personal choice. At the end of the day, the only people that could give permission to use your data is the end user.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I
it's,
agree, yeah.
it's entirely up to people. It's entirely up to what they do. Like our friend Daljit Singh, who decided he just gonna get off of Facebook. That was his decision.
No, but Facebook had recently because I think there was like successive changes to their user agreements and that kind of thing. And then they were kind of suggesting that you could change. You have to choose, like the end user has to choose what they want to share. So they had to make it very complex in terms of like what you could choose to share now and to who you share to and that kind of thing. But the onus was always on the user to do that. And I recall that every time that there's an update to Facebook, it switches to some sort of default. So then you have to go back into the system and then make all those changes again now.
But then the thing is, again, who's reading this?
No, that's the thing
Like,
now. So like,
Who would read these tables and conditions every single time it would change?
because I know that came up at some point in time with people kind of reviewing and saying like, well, all right, cool, well, the user agreement change, and now like there's access to all these things. When I go and dig into my settings, I realize that I'm sharing this and whatever, and you'll probably see it not before you dig into the settings, but in terms of like where your content being shared and who it being shared to and that kind of thing now. And like when you tag someone, like it would show up in like your friend's feed or beyond your friend's feed and that kind of thing. Like, so it's sort of like understanding that, and that's where like it makes it a little easier to scrape an account, because you're not sort of limited to the public profile, but you also could expand on what information you have to what friends have access to and what you could get from other means.
So that's my question here, right? You all are generally well educated.
General.
Maybe
Thank you.
maybe more educated than the average layperson using Facebook.
Yeah.
So for somebody a bit older, like let's say for my example, my grandmother who is on Facebook. You think they understand that level of complexity?
No,
like
no,
in terms
no,
of
no.
As an end user, do you think what they realize what the consequences of their use
That's
case?
why I want to.
I don't even
I want to kind of
Yeah.
harp on my question I asked
Yeah,
earlier about
yeah.
who in Trinidad and Tobago is responsible for educating the public about that.
Well, I don't
Because the
think- I don't-
majority
yeah,
of users now on Facebook are old people.
Yeah.
And they like it because they can connect with family.
Speak
No,
for
but then
yourself, brother.
it's young people
No, I'm
as
talking
well.
about like older than me, older than 40.
But I think like young people by nature too, they don't read anything. They don't want to read anything. They just want to know, all right, cool. Yeah, I could be on Instagram or I could be on what, and I'm gonna share this with my friends, and I'm gonna be popular, and I'm gonna get this many likes and this many followers and that kind of thing. Like nobody reads these user agreements. So you have like, I think a very small part of the population that actually does read these things or care about these things and that kind of thing. So that is a danger in itself. But like the company does not go out of its way to make the information in these agreements accessible to the public
Of
anyway.
course not, because it's not in their best interest. It's not good business.
You understand? Because like what they should be doing is that, all right, cool, we're gonna update we have these new features. As a result of that, we have to update our user agreement. These are the major updates. These are the changes. This is how it's gonna affect you. And then that's it. That's what they should be doing. But they aren't doing that. So maybe it comes back to legislation. Maybe legislation supposed to kind of come forward and say, no, all right, cool. You are big organizations. You have a major impact in terms of your reach and the people that you affect. So therefore, you need to do a better job in terms of communicating.
Yeah.
They could, because all right, I think their primary source of revenue is actually advertising, right?
Advertising, yeah.
But it kind of come back to the same thing though, because instead of people having to do market research, Facebook already has this data. They already have age groups, right? Maybe from your photos, they can determine things like ethnicity, right? Gender. If you volunteer, you could actually have your personal interests on Facebook. So all you have to do is look for keywords. It's the easiest marketing campaign in the world. They literally have to do nothing because you give them all the information.
Yes.
So then, it's like you said, it does in their best interest. Why would they want to change any of those things?
Yeah. Is any decision to protect the end user right now comes solely from the end user.
Yeah.
And I think the answer, I'm actually not even sure how we close in this podcast, but I think my closing statement on this would be that you, as an end user, read the fine print, understand what you're signing up for, and it's either you're using it or you're not. Don't use it and complain about it. Man, that's why I'll close it.
I mean, if we do, you just close it.
Forever, this life.
Nah, it kind of tough, but because like not everybody have the maturity or the interest in these things now. Because like for some people, I mean, and I didn't think we touched on this enough, is the trade-off between what you give up and what you get now. Because that's the trade-off there now. Like you get access to these data applications.
You mean as a user?
As a user.
Okay.
So you get access to it, you could do a lot of things with it, you could like network with your friends, become an influencer, you could even earn money from it, right? But the use of it is largely free. Right? What you pay for it is the data like you give.
Is free in terms of you don't have to pay money for it.
I know, but you pay in terms of data, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So that is the trade-off. I mean, I don't know. For some people, that might be a fair trade-off. For some people, like they don't care. For some people, like
I don't know. I think some people just don't realize that they're being targeted. Right?
Listen,
they're being made in targets of.
do we receive anything in this life for free? Think about it. You say God and religion and eternal salvation is
I don't
free,
see them,
but you always contribute to whatever
true
church you belong to.
Something.
Yeah.
You buy yourself salvation.
Right.
Yeah.
What do we get for free? We get newspapers cheap, and we get it cheap because we have to be bombarded by ads before you can read an article.
Natural man. Your closing natural man, with your closing statement there though, you kinda assuming that people like want to go through, because I mean earlier we were discussing that like a lot of people like they just simply don't read this user agreement because the company by nature they make it in fine print, they make it long, they make it uninteresting as possible. Like they don't want you to read it, so it's a huge task for like an old person or a young person or like generally like a busy person or whatever to sit down and read this thing. Like I mean, like it is in your interest, but it's also in the interest, and that's why I'm saying that there should be some sort of like regulatory entity involved in terms of like telling the company that hey, you need to make this a little more user friendly so that people can actually read it and understand what they're signing on to, as opposed to like you're just making it difficult as possible on the end user to realize what they're signing on to now. Because then your argument it wouldn't hold as much water, because the task in itself becomes so difficult and arduous that like nobody wants to do it, even though it's in their interest. You don't want to do it.
So your final conclusion would be that there has to be a regulatory agency to inform people about their decisions?
Well, I can't see that the company is gonna take it upon themselves and have a commercial stance. Exactly, it's not in their best interest. Yeah. So there has to be some sort of third party who steps in and says, "Well, hey, listen, we know that this is not in your best interest, and you're just trying to make money. But at the end of the day, people's lives are being affected, and you just can't just continue doing what you want with people's data and information and that kind of thing now, because there are going to be ramifications in terms of like the electoral system, in terms of people consumption behavior and all this sort of thing that could be negative towards the people now. And that for me has to be the government, because the government is ultimately responsible for the citizens in our country.
Yeah, but I mean realistically in Trinidad and Tobago, I don't see that happening. Like from a government agency point of view, I don't see resources being diverted to get that. I mean,
no.
Some people have to,
We're talking about intangibles. We're talking about intangibles. We're talking about data and using
I mean,
digital
if
consumption.
if they updated terms of service came, I mean, I think I could be wrong. I think Twitter does it sometimes that they will, or maybe Microsoft, they will, when they update their services, they will say, okay, key points to note.
Mm-hmm.
These are the major changes over here.
Oh.
I mean, that's a nice thing because I have to go and read the entire thing. But I mean, I'm not going to read the entire thing anyway. So if they really wanted to, in their fine print, they could include a whole bunch of extra stuff on it. Say, well, they didn't read the fine print.
Yeah.
So I mean, does it just come down to a matter of ethical behavior as a company?
Let me draw a parallel here, right? And then, I mean, I guess it might not be as parallel to what we're talking about here, but like McDonald's, right?
Mm.
So McDonald's serves this food is unhealthy. People know it's unhealthy, but it tastes so good. Like, you think McDonald's don't know, like, they're serving unhealthy food? Like,
No.
you don't think McDonald's goes and does like a bunch of research to make this thing so friggin'
Well, I mean,
yeah.
this happened before when they were sued. Was it back in the 90s or 2000s?
Yeah, because
They were sued for So, but even so, based on that, they I think there was a whole shift in that kind of to disclose like calorie content of the foods
Mm-hmm.
as one, and then to try to introduce new items on the menu that would have been healthier.
Yeah, not true.
Oh, okay.
The end user knows that this food is not good for them.
Right?
They could read the license, they could read
Right.
it, but they're still eating it now.
Nobody hand them the food. Nobody put the food in their mouth.
Yeah, but at the same time, like companies like McDonald's would have like targeted children and that kind of thing for that particular food now, through like their advertising and marketing and that kind of thing.
Happy Meals, yeah.
Right.
I'm sure that come from somewhere. Like, that advertising would have come from some advertising agency who had a campaign, who looked at some demographics and said, well, hey, listen, the decision makers when it comes to fast food is children. Like, children to a large extent, because they want to tell their family, hey, I want a burger, or I want to eat this and that kind of thing. And then parents are kind of powerless in terms of that, in terms of like giving in to their children and getting this particular food. So by targeting children, they're doing that, which is ethically wrong.
I think that's what they would have done in the 80s and the 90s,
Yeah,
which probably got them into trouble in the late 90s, early 2000s.
yeah.
So I mean, yeah, that's what they would have done. But I think as a result of the consequences, so maybe they experienced their Cambridge Analytica uproar
Yeah.
way earlier,
Yeah.
which forced them to make changes and basically disclose menu information and introduce new items that would be healthier.
Yeah.
But
What's
the thing is-
interesting is that this was McDonald's decision. There was no regulatory body that told them to
No,
do it.
they were the targets of a few lawsuits, so they had to basically make that decision.
But it was their decision. So going back to
Nah, but I think the government didn't have a role to play in terms of
no,
like,
they were
no.
found guilty
yeah.
in so many cases to the point where they realized because precedents were set, they had no choice. They had to do something differently. Basically, to salvage their reputation.
yeah, save face.
Yeah, your face. But
The FDA never told them that they have to disclose their caloric
Content.
content.
no, but then
Yeah.
it reached the stage where a lot of fast food became under scrutiny and they had to display. But then, the point I want to raise here was that was in the early 90s, right? There's a lot more information available now, readily available through the internet and your smartphones now, about what you should. So I think people are generally, or should be, I should say they should be. People should be a bit more well educated about what foods are good to eat and what are bad, right? Information is readily
Yeah.
available. But I agree with you. Your point is basically you should be responsible for your own self or what you consume, what you put in your body, and maybe what social media platforms you choose to use.
Yeah. That's my bottom line. I'm sticking with it.
But you don't. Sorry.
Is that what she said?
You don't think
not the bottom was sticking.
No, but you don't think the companies have a role or responsibility to make that information easier on the end user to understand what they're signing on to?
Yeah, definitely they should, but I mean, can you trust them?
No, we can't, and that's what I'm saying. Like, we can't trust them to do that for us, to make it easier now. But they should be trying to make it easier so that more people understand what they're signing on to and what are the implications of that, and so that they can make an informed decision. So I'm not saying that it's not in the hands of the end user. It is in the hands of the end user. But there is a role for the company to play in terms of helping the end user to make that decision that they have to make.
So should there be some kind of
at the risk of losing users?
And that's why I say there's a third party that has to intervene, because it's
so that's
clear.
what I'm saying, like, so should there be something like an international regulatory body for, you know, social media platforms or any search engine?
I think there needs to be some sort of regulation, because like right now the internet is like the wild west where like things happen and then there's a very reactionary approach to like dealing with the issues that pop up. Because like, I mean, in Trinidad and Tobago, let's look at the issues of like what was like body shaming or what's called, like when people share like sex tapes or something, like they're dating someone and then they send around like a bunch of pictures and all that kind of thing.
I think it's just
like,
I think local team is blues.
No. Like if you in a relationship,
you use it as leverage.
Yeah, but then the relationship ended, and then you went on WhatsApp the girl pictures to a bunch of groups and that kind of thing. So I think it's something like shaming or some kind of thing like that. So it had that cricketer, what's his name? Some cricketer or something shared his girlfriend's pictures after
as revenge.
As revenge porn.
Revenge porn. That's what,
revenge porn, right? So it didn't have any legislation for revenge porn or anything like that, like before, but now it was necessary.
Yeah.
So like that's what I'm saying. Like the internet, there's a lot of things that aren't regulated, and you're not entirely sure how to treat with it until it comes up and it becomes an issue, and then you try to figure it out. But like clearly, this is something, and I'm sure with the example of Cambridge Analytica and what they did, clearly that is something that will be regulated in the future going forward.
This documentary will spark a lot of change up on there, and discussions like what we're having now. We're not doing people sitting down around a table eating goat and pork, talking about it, right?
Yeah.
So
no, but like, and I think that is probably at times what it takes for something to happen. Something needs to blow up in the public domain, and people need to make enough noise about it for it to be considered by like the regulatory agencies or somebody to recognize that, hey, this is something important that we need to do something about. Because other than that, nobody really cares. So alright, it's not really affecting me, it's not affecting votes, it's not affecting how people feel. Well, fine, alright, cool, let me print my pamphlets for the next election.
I get what you're saying. I mean, ultimately the responsibility comes down to you.
Yeah.
Maybe being as informed as possible about these kind of things.
Yeah.
What then these companies do?
Yeah, you can't make a decision if.
No, I mean, just with respect to, you know, morality, or at least being ethical with respect to the service that you're trying to offer. I mean, how you gonna? I guess, all right. So ultimately, you should just say we can't trust these companies. We just need to be careful about what personal data we put out there.
Yeah.
And you know.
Yeah, I mean, is that
or choose not to use it entirely.
Yeah, that capitalist system we're working with, right? So I mean, ultimately, the bottom line is to generate revenue. That's what it is. Mostly the revenue is coming from ads. And then, well, apparently you could sell their data to research firms. That's another revenue stream. I'm not sure how much money you get for that, but like I think it's largely on ads, which does basically the same thing. Because if you look at what Cambridge Analytica is basically like an ad agency who designs specific ads and a campaign, advertising campaign to win an election.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not different from say like you trying to represent a brand or steal market share from a competitor or anything like that. Is largely the same. So I don't know how much revenue is generated as a result of giving that data.
Actually, it was in documentary. It was a substantial amount. Well, I think they said the type of business.
I think Kaiser was sending questions for Congress to bring to Mark Zuckerberg, and one of the questions was like, what percentage of his income is generated outside of ads or from ads, and it would be like 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Facebook doesn't generate any revenue by any other means. Right? It's solely ads.
It took them a long time to figure out how to generate money.
Well, they always knew how. It's just that Mark didn't want to commit to it in the early or something based on the documentary.
Yeah, suppose.
Yeah. So I don't know for sure what was his issue what was his stance on that, but like they make it seem that as Nacho Man was saying earlier, that he genuinely wanted to connect people in the earlys.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to hold out as long as possible in terms of like not generating revenue because he wanted it to grow and reach as much people as possible.
Right.
And maybe that's like a masterful strategy in terms of like keeping it free and getting it to as much people as possible. So then when you're ready to sell ads, you have that much coverage. So every single company trying to sell products in the world will see you as the go-to platform.
But you see, the thing is, I mean, Facebook was caught because of this whole thing. But there's a lot of people like Google. They still collect the data.
Yeah.
Amazon.
Banks every time you make a credit card transaction.
Yeah.
So your data, every single move you make is still
Captured
basically
somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's, right now, Facebook is the scapegoat because of this whole inquiry.
Possibly. So I mean, it might cause some people to wisen up a bit and just be more wary of their actions in a public domain in ways that it could be recorded and archived and for future.
No, but with
purposes.
Google, people have to know because like oftentimes like you see these ads coming up. Or particularly for Google.
Yeah.
No, but like
Google listens to what you're talking about.
Well, I don't know.
I am sure.
You send an email or some kind of thing about a flight. You book a flight.
Well,
they read your itinerary. They read your email
put a
reminder on your phone.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was it was convenient and disturbing at the same time.
No, but I think Google. I don't want to say flying under the radar because I think a lot of people know.
Yeah.
But again, I guess it's like you're grappling with: is this thing useful or is this thing
invasive?
Should they know this?
Yeah.
Is it invasive
or like? You all remember when you sign up for Gmail, reading the fine print that says that Google could read your stuff? I didn't. So I just asking if we agree to that now because
I don't know.
They're reading.
No, I don't think so because again at that time. When I don't think I mean people would have had like a Hotmail account with Microsoft. I don't think Microsoft would have been doing that in their environment. Maybe they didn't figure out the recipe yet. But then there's Microsoft. They didn't have to generate revenue from marketing, from ads.
Something scary that I do, like I be terrified every time I do it, but I still do it anyway. Is like when I have to sign on to like new apps, and you see the option for Google sign in.
Right.
So you can like Google sign in on everything, right? So like most of the apps and websites and that I have access to probably make me really easy to hack is with like my Google password.
I actually
don't do that at all.
You don't do that at all?
No.
So you have like different.
Yeah. I would actually just create a new account because I just figure something. I mean, why is it so easy?
I forget passwords a lot, so then I just see it as alright, cool. I'm just gonna use Google.
Yeah.
But then Google have like 2-stage verification. I think like
Which makes it safe. But I mean, Google is fairly big in that. They could do their own 2-factor authentication.
Yeah.
And what else they want to do? And then I was thinking about it too, because some of the authentication could be done via your phone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Involving like your face,
Your face.
your face, your fingerprint. Any of these kind of
Yeah.
biometric.
They'll usually
data.
send me. Well, they could do that. Yeah. But they usually send me like a 6-digit verification code on my phone. and that.
Yeah.
But like Nacho though, you would use like Facebook or Google to as verification for
Always.
a website. Oh no, I do the same. Like no, serious. Like
Because I don't remember passwords either.
I don't remember passwords, but like at that point in time, right? Like before I signed up, I was like, I really shouldn't do this because like if for some reason somebody do get my password for Google, they basically have access for every single thing.
But it's convenient.
know-
It's convenient.
But I feel a little better about using Google as opposed to Facebook because they usually would get either Facebook or Google as the verification.
Yeah. You know, DJB, you bring up something about your face and phones and signing with your phone, right? Now, I use a Huawei phone. I'm very happy with, right? But
And I'm sure
if we have American listeners out there, they might disagree.
I'm pretty sure the Chinese government also happy with your.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, the Chinese government going to get this podcast before we post it,
Wow, yeah.
right? And I Googled it. But if you think about the bio data that this phone gets from me, that camera knows my face.
Indeed.
They know my fingerprint. Because every time I open this phone, I touch it. And while somebody sitting down there, say, oh, Chris Admiral, I just open his phone. And it's just like second nature. It's just something I do without thinking.
You use the facial recognition as well? I just use fingerprint.
No, but Facebook has my facial
Oh, serious?
recognition,
Oh
yeah.
my.
Why?
Really.
No,
No,
but
you don't,
no,
have, you, don't,
serious?
you don't have to volunteer for it. Post a picture on Facebook and they will tag faces.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. In that regard, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think that's some of the whole machine learning AI that they're all
But
trying
it's
to develop.
Somewhere in the agreement had that you.
Yep, it would have been there in the whole
I mean,
Bible of fine print.
But I think some of it is optional because it'll be like, do you want to tag this person, yes or no? Automatically. I guess you could opt out of it. Like there should be some settings to say.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's for us, the end user, to figure out.
So that, I mean, so it still comes back to the same thing because all this data is it convenient or is it is the convenience of it with the invasiveness of it? Because you don't know. I mean, I intentionally try to mess them up, right?
Yeah.
In terms of so a lot of websites you visit now, you'll have things like this website uses cookies. Do you agree or do you accept? And the first thing you can actually click is OK, right? Which means that you will store cookies on your device. Yeah. But they can also say no or check settings, and they could change all this stuff to actually turn off tracking and those kind of things.
Right.
So that's one thing I sometimes do. Sometimes
I mean, the fact of the matter is they call them cookies and it's hard for anybody to say no to cookies.
well,
I mean,
it's maybe hard for you, but
if they call it like,
if it was doubles, I'd have probably been in the same position.
yeah.
No, but I mean, all right. There are things you could do in those cases. Like we could install, well, not put. I'm not sure if it on your phone, but on your computer, you could install tracker prevention, those kind of things. Some sites will try to block you from using the sites. Like some news sites will be like, you have enabled tracking protection, therefore get off of our website.
Your mother can.
Yeah. There
There was some issue with cookies or something before, right? Where some international thing came up where
I think
now it's required by all websites or something to.
I think it was the GDPR. It was the European
Yeah, because now you see it frequently. Like all the websites that you go
Yeah.
to, they are like required to let you know that they're using cookies and
it's
tracking
the
data. Right?
GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation, which is an EU regulation,
Mm-hmm.
and it required sites to be compliant, otherwise it would not be accessible in the
In the EU.
In the
Yeah.
EU. So
And I guess by extension that probably spread internationally because like
Well-
EU would be a large public.
yeah. Well, basically, I guess it came down to if you want the site to be available internationally or just in these certain countries. So,
Yeah.
so websites basically had to comply.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so when you
Yeah.
come back, I just want to do this.
Yeah.
There's a little bit too much of that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I want to review this product that you all tasted already.
Oh,
all
we
right.
should just bring a live sample.
It's right behind you there.
Oh, shit.
So we're gonna close out with another review
But we wouldn't I mean,
of a snack
honestly,
item.
unless they want to.
Yeah.
Shit.
I don't want to shit right now, no.
Yeah.
All right. So this is
We're not receiving royalties from this yet.
this is
Yeah.
we paid for this. All right. This wasn't sent
I tried
for review.
Full disclosure, I tried it already.
It's a product called Sunshine Snacks Oli. It's a tortilla chip.
Yeah.
I picked it up because I thought it's interesting that the flavor is chia and flaxseed.
That was a decent presentation.
Excellent
Good-
presentation.
good
Everything. The
packaging,
package
good
feels good and
packaging.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
I picked it up because our friend here, Daniel, is a health food nut, and I thought this would be right up his alley.
He's a fan of the things like kale.
So-
No,
and quinoa.
I picked it up at the supermarket when I saw it, like the first time.
Right.
I did as well.
Yeah.
Right. So, a snack made of chia and flaxseed.
I think like the flaxseed and chia, well the flaxseed in particular kind of have its own oil in it, so it adds to like the moisture. So it's not like totally dry when you
So, I mean-
start chewing it, yeah.
260 calories per serving, 15 grams of fat,
Mm-hmm.
20 grams of carbs, of which 4 grams of fiber, which I'd hope because they have chia and flax. And overall, not a bad tasting chip.
No, I don't think so, but
It's not bad.
I think it like better with like a filling or something. Like I think you should have like, some kind of salsa or homemade guacamole
I mean-
or something.
Natural man.
Oh yeah.
As a natural man, what you know?
This is not bad at all. I honestly thought it would taste like
Cardboard.
dry shoes.
Okay.
I mean, it tastes like a chip, just not flavored.
Yeah.
Because
You could use a dip. You could use a nice
that wouldn't be bad.
healthy dip.
It's mostly white corn flour, vegetable oil, and then flaxseed chia salt. So not a big set of ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
The oil is just a blend. Well, actually not that many ingredients at all.
That's
No,
usually a
I
good
could-
sign. I mean, there's a trend now
Yeah.
towards something called clean labels, where you should be able to like read and understand all the ingredients without like something, and then
Yeah.
hide
So I
in
think
the ingredients.
Yeah.
I think Sunshine Snacks did a pretty good job with this.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't mind reviewing some more of their products
Sunshine
Oh,
Snacks.
yeah.
for pay.
If you want to sponsor any segment on this podcast, just contact us in the contact information.
Located right here.
No, you,
And yeah, you have no idea what point to do.
Right.
But
Just,
we'll deal with any editing.
Just-
just click something below that might or
Well,
might not be there.
it will be in the show
So-
notes. That's all.
Yeah. Check our description.
Very, this is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have
I
some
could
good,
definitely
some
like
good
2
chips,
parts of this watching wrestling.
good chips and good scotch.
Yeah.
This podcast.
Yeah.
Does it go well together? Can we recommend
Well,
eating some ole,
Ole.
chia, and flaxseed
let's find out now.
while drinking some Talisker Dark Storm?
Yes.
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 Yeah, actually, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it doesn't have
it's
a
a
strong
nice,
flavor.
it's a neutral, very neutral flavor.
Yeah.
It's just corn,
Mm-hmm. I guess.
salt enough.
Oh,
Um, Good. So
Cool.
There you have it.
any closing notes from you all fellas?
Read the fine print.
Really fine print.
If you have a problem with something, don't be part of it.
I feel like a third party should step in to make the fine print less fine and less long, so that the end user could understand easily and clearly what they're signing up for. Because, I mean, it's not happening from the company's perspective because it's not in their interest, as we covered before. So I think some third party needs to step in and deal with that.
And well, I think the last one would just be wary, be aware of what you're posting out there. Take responsibility for your own data and your own content, and maybe even just think about ways it could be used for good and maybe even against you, because you don't know who's reading, who's looking, who's mining your data.
Yeah. And how things change in the future. I mean, you always have to like keep an eye out on that. I mean,
So maybe 5 years, 10 years from now, you know, would that
How-
be worth something, or would that affect your personal character?
Yep.
And
I mean,
then decide if that's the way you want to go.
Yep.
But just be prepared to deal with the consequences of your actions. Not just, I mean, it's not 2019. It's not just in the real world,
Yeah.
but it's actually in the digital world as well.
Yeah.
to quote a local celebrity, Sprangalang,
Right.
you better watch your content.
He said that.
He did.
He would say that.
Wait. All
Well, actually, in a few of his songs, he's repeated over and over. Better watch your content. Better watch your content.
I can't imagine another way to end this podcast. So
Okay,
Yeah.
so watch your
With that-
content.
Watch your content.
Your
Con- watch-
and yeah, pun intended. All right,
Till next time.
Litos.
Metallica.
Yeah.
Metallica.